All right, we're about to dive into a story that sits right at this wild intersection of artificial intelligence, music streaming, and yeah, a massive multi-million-dollar federal crime. So that's the $10 million question, isn't it? Today, we're going to break down exactly how a system built for artists was turned into a personal goldmine for a fraudster. We'll look at how the scheme worked, and maybe more importantly, why it's a guaranteed path to getting caught. To really get how this crime was even possible, you have to understand the opportunity. The whole music streaming economy is just enormous, but the way artists get paid, well, it created this little vulnerability that was just waiting for someone to come along and exploit it. So here's the key thing to wrap your head around. Everybody is drinking from the exact same pool of money. And what that means is that every single fake stream doesn't just make money for a fraudster, it's actively taking money out of the pockets of every legitimate artist on the platform.
And this is the magic number, 3/10 of a single penny. It seems like nothing, right? But it's the absolute key to this whole story. I mean, to make just $3, you need 1,000 streams. So you start to see the problem. To make any real money, you don't need a hit song. You need an industrial-scale operation.
So, let's talk about the man who turned this little systemic quirk into his own personal ATM. What's crazy is this wasn't some sophisticated team of hackers. It was one guy who saw a flaw and just scaled his attack to an insane level.
And here he is, Michael Smith from North Carolina. His case is a huge deal, a landmark, because it is the very first time U.S. federal prosecutors have ever gone after someone for a streaming fraud scheme that was powered by artificial intelligence. And the scale of his success was just staggering. Before he got caught, Smith siphoned off over $10 million in royalties. Now, to put that in perspective, at that 3/10 of a penny per stream, that is over 3.3 billion fake listens. This was not a side hustle. This was a highly lucrative, full-time criminal enterprise. So you're probably asking, how on earth did he do it? Well, it wasn't some single brilliant hack. It was actually a really simple two-part strategy that he just executed relentlessly and at a massive, massive scale. And here's the plan in a nutshell. It's genius in its simplicity. First, he solved the content problem. Usually, fraudsters have to find or create music, which takes time. Smith just used AI to generate hundreds of thousands of songs, almost instantly. And second, he created his own audience using automated bots to just play his AI songs on a loop forever. And don't just take my word for it. We know this was his exact strategy because we have his own words. In an email to his co-conspirators, Smith laid it all out. He knew he couldn't have one song with 1 billion streams. That would get flagged immediately. He needed thousands and thousands of songs, each with a few thousand streams. He needed to hide in plain sight. The content itself was, well, let's just say it wasn't exactly winning any Grammys. As one of his collaborators put it, it was just instant music. And the artist and song titles, they were just randomly generated, which resulted in these bizarre, totally meaningless names that were just containers to hold the AI audio and collect those sweet, sweet royalties. So to create his fake audience, Smith ran a bot farm of over 1,000 fake accounts on these streaming platforms. Just picture it like 1,000 phones in a room, all with unique accounts, all programmed to do one thing and one thing only: stream his music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But here's where it got kind of clever. The real trick was how he avoided getting caught for so long. He used VPNs to make it look like the streams were coming from all over the world. And he used what's called the low and slow method, basically spreading a massive number of streams across a huge catalog of songs so that no single track would ever trigger any alarms. And those tiny fractions of a penny? Oh, they added up. Big time. At its peak, Smith's operation was pulling in about $3,300 every single day. That works out to over $1.2 million a year from music that no human being was actually listening to. But you know how these stories go, right? A scheme built on a house of cards like this was always going to collapse. For years, the money just flowed, and then it stopped. Look, when you steal over $10 million, you eventually get noticed. The sheer scale of the fraud triggered a federal investigation, and that digital paper trail led agents directly to Michael Smith.
And the consequences were severe. We're not talking about a slap on the wrist. Smith was indicted on multiple federal charges, including wire fraud and money laundering. This case sent a crystal clear signal. The government now sees AI-driven streaming fraud as a serious federal crime.
And this number, this is a powerful deterrent. And that's not 20 years total. That's the maximum potential prison sentence for each one of those charges. So for anyone out there looking at AI as some kind of get-rich-quick scheme, the risk of spending decades behind bars is very, very real. You see, Smith's case isn't just about one guy. It's a massive wake-up call for the entire music industry, which is now scrambling to figure out how to deal with this absolute flood of AI-generated content. And just look at this chart to see how fast this problem is growing. This is data from just one platform, Deezer. You can see that in about a year, the number of fully AI-generated tracks getting uploaded every day just skyrocketed from 10,000 to 60,000. The vast majority of this stuff is uploaded specifically to commit fraud. The good news is the industry isn't just sitting back and taking it. The major players, we're talking Spotify, Amazon Music, the big record labels, they've all formed an alliance to pool their data, share intelligence, and basically present a united front against fraudsters. And their tactics are changing too. It's not just about catching fraud after the money's been paid anymore. Now, Spotify is proactively charging distributors a fee for every track where they detect blatant artificial streaming. The goal is to make it financially painful to even distribute music from these known bad actors in the first place. But for legitimate creators, artists who actually want to use AI as a tool, the landscape is getting really complicated. You've got major labels suing AI companies like Suno, claiming they trained their models on copyrighted music without permission. This creates this huge legal risk because the ownership and the legality of AI-generated music is still a giant open question. Which really leaves us with this final critical question. This technology is a total double-edged sword. It has the potential to be an incredible tool for human creativity, but as we've just seen, it's also an incredibly powerful weapon for fraud. The battle for the future of music is happening right now, and it is really unclear who's going to come out on top.